I wanted to first, well, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thumb up this video if you're liking it thus far. You like the conversation. You can also push the join button next to the subscription button and become a member today. Gain access to extra perks, such as getting access to videos before they hit YouTube, getting access to exclusive videos that don't hit YouTube, getting access to exclusive for members and patrons only live streams, and the special emojis and badges of honor, as well as coupon codes for reductions for my merch, the Super Dacob merch. I have a lot of it. But toiletry pouches. While we're talking about toiletry pouches, I also have my own little desiccant pouch, the Dacob desiccant, not a desiccant pouch, which is a bit bigger than the 19. Yeah, it is a little bit longer, isn't it? So it's more in the direction of it's smaller than the 26 though. So thank you to all my members and patrons. And so we are filming live. And we live stream every Saturday. So I have all my co-chatters with me here. Join me every Saturday live streaming from my channel. It's always a lot of fun. So first of all, I want to say hello to Keith Ezel. Hello, my love. Keith says, hey, Dacob, love your channel. Me and my VA nurse friends show you much love from Cleveland, Ohio. Keith, first and foremost, I love you. And let me tell you why I love you. I don't know you, but I love you because in my family, there has been a lot of VA and veterans in the VA, veterans passing away in the VA, veterans being cared for by nurses and doctors in the VA. I know how difficult it is for you guys. I know that the condition, I've seen it firsthand. I know the conditions you're working under. I know that you're not paid well enough. I know that they do not give you the right equipment most of the time to work with. I know that most of the time you have to improvise to save a life. So I know the hardships that you guys go through. I've seen it firsthand. And you know what? It's not enough that people just applaud and the people just say, you're doing a great job. The government needs to step it up. They need to give you the proper funding. They need to help you guys out and those poor veterans that have been, dedicating their whole life for whatever cause. And then they end up sick in a VA and the government kind of shoves them there, let's slowly get rid of them. It's tough. It's tough for you guys to see people pass away, to see sometimes that you cannot help the people that you want to help because the right resources are just not there. So just letting you know that I know, and I appreciate you a lot and thank you so much for trying to make the best out of a very, very difficult situation. When the pandemic hit, okay, I'm not going to name which specific VA, but they did not even have masks. They did not even give the masks to the nurses to change on a regular basis. Like, the situation was heartbreaking. And so many fragile lives that were, the veterans that were in those hospitals died very quickly because the right care was not there, because the funding was not there. So I know exactly what's going on. ND 2020 says, this is so true. The VA sets up the healthcare professionals for failure. I'm a veteran, and it took them 2 months to set up a breast ultrasound because the equipment keeps breaking. I'm trying not to cry. You guys, I really am. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hold on. And it's not even about the, you see veterans and you're educated to say, thank you for your service, but oftentimes you'd say, you don't know what the hell is the service you gave. For who? For what cause? Losing your life, the best years of your life spent fighting some cause for somebody somewhere. And then you come back home and all you get is thank you for your service. But then when you're sick and you need help, well, the government is like, sorry. No, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's just not fair. And it breaks my heart because you can't do anything about it. You know, and these people are dying. They're constantly dying because they're not getting the help that they need. And it's not the fault of the nurses and the doctors. They try their best. They're just also, you know, you kind of build this mechanism of like, you're furious the first couple of lives you lose. And you're so angry that there's no funding, that nothing can be done. And you're just so angry that at one point you become immune, you become numb. You know why you don't become numb because you're an asshole. You become numb because that's the only protection mechanism you have left. Because you can't do anything. All your willpower is worth nothing because you don't get the actual machinery you need, the actual medication you need. So these nurses, you might think if you go to these places, you're like, oh my God, they're so heartless. They're not heartless. They're just trying to survive because they've been dealing with shit for so long that they don't have another choice. They become so hardened inside because they're like, well, it's either this or I'm going to go insane. So ZQ says, my daughter and son-in-law work in hospitals. Holy Grace says, I have several vets in my family, dad and granddad. Victoria says, speaking the truth. Chiki Babilni says, 100% true words. The Ashley says, this is so true, it's heartbreaking. Letty says, and my dad is a military veteran, so this hits home. Thank you for your beautiful words, Dacob. And I'm telling you, and Letty, what? You have to now go and get extra jobs and you have to work overtime. You took up a job as a cleaning lady on top of the job that you already have because you want to help your dad get a surgery because the government doesn't obviously care. He's a veteran who needs eye surgery and you have to get a second job to afford for his eye surgery. Are you freaking kidding me? Seabree says, compassion fatigue. Susie Q says, my daughter and son-in-law are so beyond done with the people who aren't vaccinated. Their lives are on the line. That's a whole other can of worms, which, you know, they always come for you. As if you're any sort of presence on social media and you tell people to get vaccinated, they're like, who are you? Give people the right to choose. Yeah, okay, you choose. But your choices have repercussions, okay? So I chose to get vaccinated. I just got my second vaccine last Monday. For myself and for others, you take one for the team. That's what a society is. That's how society works. You're not alone in this world. There are other people in this world as well. You got to live with other people. Otherwise, just move to an island, live all isolated alone, don't see another human being in your life, and then fine, do whatever you want to do. But if you're interacting with other people and you're like, I don't want to wear a mask, it's a political thing. It's not a political thing to wear or not wear a mask. Hell, you know, wearing a mask has saved me in this year and a half, not just from Corona, but also from other diseases. I sure as hell, even after the double vaccination, triple vaccination soon, I'm still not going to stop. You know, first of all, even if you're vaccinated, you could still transmit the disease. But beyond that, I feel very comfortable wearing a mask, and I'm going to keep wearing a mask even long after this pandemic is over because I see how much it helps to prevent any other really sickness that's transmitted through air. I prefer not to be sick. Do you want to be sick? Do you like being sick? Do you like laying in bed, sweating your butt off, having a fever, coughing yourself to death? Do you like that? I don't. I don't. Guess what I also don't like? Politicians. I don't like any one of them. So, whoever tries to politicize an object like a mask that can save my life, I tell them to F the F off. I don't want to hear their pros or cons. I know for myself that it really helps. So, not wearing a mask means being a patriot? Girl, get a life. Well, you can't get a life because if you don't wear a mask, you're going to lose that Oompa Loompa life you have. So grow a brain. You know, ND 2020, don't be upset, Dacob. I don't mean to get you upset, but no one really knows how frustrating it is. My husband couldn't believe it until I got sick. No, please say it. You're not getting me upset. These are good reasons to get upset. These are the good reasons to get upset, you know. Getting upset on purse forums because somebody doesn't make a Chanel bag unboxing every day. That's not a good reason to get upset. That's a reason to get a freaking life. But getting upset because people are idiots and don't want to wear a mask, that's a good reason to get upset. We're putting things here in perspective. I know this is a channel where we like to, you know, enjoy our time. We talk about futile things just to get our minds off of the troubles of life. So yeah, we unbox pouches and we talk about fashion shows and you know, we drink drinks together, talk about perfumes, and it's all fun and games. But we, at our core, we're serious people. We don't take ourselves too seriously. But when it's time to take yourself seriously, you take yourself seriously. Why? Because it's not us alone. We're not alone. There's a lot of people and you got to care for each other. You know, Louis says, my ex-boyfriend was in a deep depression and never had attention. He just received $500 a month. One day I just woke up and I didn't see him for 6 years. I thought he was dead. So is he okay now? We don't know. I'm trying to see if you... Ashley says, I worked in the hospital as a tech a decade ago. It's gut-wrenching work. Louis says, he was in Iraq. Oh. Susie Q says, 2 of her co-workers just tested positive. So now she and her husband are getting tested and may need to quarantine. Oh my God. Oh, Davina, you had your second vaccine last Monday too. Yay, we're twinsing. Gary says, I chose to be vaccinated purely for others. Yes. And for myself and for others. Stephanie says, Susie Q, oh no, that makes me so mad. I hope they will be okay. You got to think positive. They will be okay. Jesus says, seems like people are more afraid from getting a sore arm and mild fever from the vaccine than dying from the virus. It's so bizarre. And I'm telling you, Jesus, it's also being politicized. So people are also brainwashed to believe whatever. Yeah, Chicky. Some only believe about themselves. True. Susie Q says, speak. Time to Musk Up says, don't vaccinate people. Not vaccinated people still get it. And can give... Oh, yes. So vaccinated people can also still get sick. For sure. And vaccinated people can also transmit it. For sure. The vaccine is there not to completely eliminate you from getting it. It doesn't completely prevent you from getting it. It's there to minimize the effects of it if you do get it, so that in the chance you get it, you don't die. In the chance you get it and you're fully vaccinated, your chances are very high that you will not need to be intubated in the hospital on a breathing machine, on a respirator. You're vaccinated so that in case you do get it, not the vaccine, you are fully vaccinated so that in case you do contract the virus, it doesn't make you get such a reaction to it that you literally die. The vaccine is there to help you get through it as mildly as possible, and if you're lucky, as asymptomatic as possible. Let's be very clear about this. No doctor ever said, ever, that the vaccine is going to prevent you from contracting the virus. No doctor ever said that. You're getting the vaccine to get through this crazy pandemic we're in as with fewer symptoms and fewer bad reactions to the disease as possible. That's the point of the vaccine. Some people really, thanks to the vaccine, fly through it without anything happening to them, there is a small percentage of people who get really sick, even though they got the vaccine. But it's a much smaller percentage than if nobody got vaccinated. You know the lady, the actress who's Sabrina the Witch? She was in the show that stole Elvira's show, by the way. Elvira did the pilot. They said no to Elvira, and then they hired Sabrina. Then they turned Elvira's show into Sabrina the Witch. Doesn't matter. We still love Sabrina. But she just said on social media this week, she's fully vaccinated, got the worst case of COVID possible. I mean, and she was so grateful that she got vaccinated. She said, if I wasn't vaccinated, I would have died. But thanks to the vaccine, I didn't die. How did she contract the virus? Because her kids, because she's living in an area where they're all hyper anti-vaxxers and everything. So they did not want the kids to even wear masks in school. So her kids got sick, passed it on to her. And so she said, now my kids, even though the whole school is not wearing masks, my kids are wearing masks. I don't care what the school's policy is. They're going to keep wearing masks because what the heck? You can't do this to people. The lady, the actress from Sabrina the Witch. Letty says, oh, Dacob, thank you. Yes, veterans deserve better. They give their lives and their families' lives for an idea they believe in. Exactly. The government at least should treat them with the same respect, which we know they don't. Because once the government has used you, thank you for your service, bye-bye. That's what it is. That's what it is. Bottom line, after you're done with your service, the sooner you die, the better it is for them because they don't have to pay you benefits anymore. Sure, if you're married, your spouse, they get a percentage of your benefits onwards. But the gist of the story is use as long as something is functional and can be used. When you don't need it anymore, it's a disposable. That's what a soldier doesn't have a name. A soldier has a number. You guys. I'm as patriotic as the next patriot is out there. But I'm not stupid. I'm no fool. Stephanie says, I truly don't understand why these people are unwilling to wear masks. Even before this situation, I was wearing a mask during winter. Susie Q says, the flu went away. Gee, I wonder why. We were inside our homes or wearing a mask. I can see wearing a mask for the rest of my life, and I'm okay with that. Susie Q, you and I together, girl. Give me 5. You and I together. Time to Moscow says, sounds like it doesn't work. The vaccine, no, it does work. Letty says, if you have a GoFundMe for your dad, Stephanie says to Letty, if you have a GoFundMe for your dad, I will donate. Audrey says to Susie Q, the regulations have changed in the UK now. If a child is positive now in my class, they will not have to isolate. Wow. Seabree says, some people I know with conditions cannot wear masks. Doesn't mean they don't want to be safe. What conditions do you have that you cannot wear a mask? If it's a respiratory condition, there are alternatives to wearing a mask. To wearing a flat paper, not paper, but you know, the material that they use for these special masks. There are other that's another thing. The government should also help. If somebody has a condition where they cannot wear that, then there must be some alternative that costs more that they can wear, that can be made for them. That should be subsidized by the government, for example. In my humble opinion. Shishi1795 says, today I went to Le Samaritain in Paris and people were still manifesting against the vaccine. It drove me crazy. Davina says, micro droplets is real. The toilet lid is there for a reason. Most don't use the toilet lid before flushing. Paris Ryan says, totally with you, Dacob. Holy Grace says, yes, Holy Grace says to Time to Musk Up, yes, although with more people vaccinated, the less transmission there are. In saying that, I am still yet to decide if I am getting it. Chunky Shoes UK, I'm double vaccinated and still wear my mask too. Feels odd now not doing so. For me too. For me, it's such a normal thing to wear a mask. And I feel also comfortable wearing it. I have to be honest with you guys. Stephanie says to Davina, that disgusts me. I always close the toilet lid before flushing because of the droplets. Steven says, I hate wearing masks, but I'm going to continue to use them in crowded places and public transport. Holy Grace, guess who politicized the virus? The government. Exactly. Seabree says, holy, super spreaders actually. Seabree says, cases in Israel. Maria M says, health is a human right and should be free for all over the world. Here to that, Maria. I completely concur with you. Paris Ryan says, you're the voice of reason. Time to musk up. Sorry, the chat just slid from me. I'm a little bit backed up with the chats. And I just lost you. Let me just find it for a second. Hold on. Yeah. Oh, okay. The time to mask up says to Holly. Oh, I see, Holly. Government politicized the virus, says Holly. Yeah. Navina says to Stephanie, what's even more disgusting is people question why the lid is always down after I use the toilet. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Stephanie says to Holy Grace, I hate that it's become politics. It's crazy. Jesus says, yeah, you have the right to not get the vaccine, but don't get mad if private businesses won't let you in. Freedom of choice, right? Also, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. You know, if I own my own business, I decide, hey, I want to keep my coworkers and myself safe. Stephanie says to Davina, you should show them studies on what happens after you flush the toilet. Cami V says, masks shouldn't be a big deal, but forcing people to vaccinate is a whole other story. Yeah, I agree. You have to have the freedom to choose. For sure. For sure. But every choice comes with a consequence. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. You gotta be prepared. You gotta be prepared. That's all I'm saying. You gotta be prepared for the consequences. Isabella says people beer also very skeptical and scared when penicillin was starting. People were also very skeptical and scared when penicillin was starting to get more widely used. And look how it all looks from today's perspective. Good point. Seabree says everyone's medical situation is different and private. Yes, but Seabreeze, hold on. I think you're misunderstanding me here. Everyone's medical situation is different and private. Yes. However, everyone who has a medical situation goes to their doctor to talk about it. The doctor diagnoses them. The diagnosis is between you and the doctor. Are we in agreement up until now, or do you believe that if your medical situation is private, you're not even supposed to tell your doctor that you're feeling ill? Like, are we at the level of Jehovah's Witnesses here that never take medicine in their lives? Because that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about you're sick, you have an issue, you go to your doctor, the doctor tries to help you. Now, if the doctor diagnoses you with a certain respiratory situation, so you can't wear a mask, there should be, without the government knowing that you have that condition, there should be a pre-instated condition or regulation that stipulates that if a said patient that is insured, that has health insurance, has a certain condition, the insurance gets triggered and pays to provide said mask or whatever that person needs to breathe. So, government can subsidize that. Should, because I believe that healthcare should be free for everyone. So, by that I'm saying you don't have to disclose what issue you have, what diagnosis you have. But the government should already have a list of all potential diseases, of all problems that can happen in a human body in general, and certain rights to pay for certain help should be given to those patients who get diagnosed with those diseases. The doctor knows, the doctor ticks off, okay, this is your diagnosis, don't worry, the insurance covers for this case. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you going to your senator saying, hey, dude, I got this issue. Can I get money for it? That's not what I'm talking about. Your condition stays private. Obviously, the doctors have the obligation to not disclose this, by the way. So, you know what I'm talking about. The government don't care about our health, says Holy. They care about getting reelected and money. Lily Bonfi says, it was never tested. Davina says, yes, vaccine is there to minimize the symptoms and lower the risks of death. Yeah, right. Seabury says, since it's not sterilizing, the person still gets transmitted. Right, but you're still transmissible. Emily says, my ex-boyfriend's still sick. It's very sad. His whole story is very devastating. And Davina, again, I completely agree with you. Davina says, people just don't listen. May says, oh, Louis, I'm so sorry. Holy Grace says, good, healthy discussion. Stephanie says, and the vaccine hopefully also helps minimize long-term effects if you get it. That's what I'm hoping for the most. You know? Davina says to Stephanie, yes, I'm glad masking is a norm now. Jack Ray says, I have a friend who just had his second dose, but got COVID 1 week after. He was not hospitalized. Vaccines save lives. Seabury says, what about boosters? They're saying 3 and 4 on UK cards now. It's all a possibility. I mean, you know, viruses keep mutating and they want to survive too. We want to survive. So does the virus. It keeps finding ways to multiply itself as fast as it can to sustain itself. It's like literally the nature of preservation of everything on this planet. You know, nature itself wants to survive. And that's why I love Jurassic Park so much, because, you know, they constantly talk about the theory of chaos, but they also talk about how life always finds a way. And this is amazing, that life always finds a way. So the virus is also always going to find a way to survive. But what we can do is minimize the effects of it. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, um, listen, I'm not a doctor, so having this conversation is silly. I'm just telling you tidbits of information that I gathered from my life, from my experience, what helped me, talking with my doctors, what they shared with me. Viruses are not bacterias. They're two different things. And viruses are a bit complicated because, sure, I'm seeing weird comments here. Somebody says, oh, the longer virus is there, less of an issue it is. Let me tell you something. One of the reasons why AIDS is so, it eradicated so many people, because it was a young virus. It didn't have the time to adapt to its host. Bear with me. The herpes virus, the herpes simplex, the simple herpes virus, you know, the one that the cold sore that you get on your lip from time to time. That's a very, very old virus. It has adapted to live perfectly with its host. You who are infected with the herpes, with the cold sore herpes virus, it's adapted. It's mutated to a point where it doesn't kill its host. It's adapted to a point where it keeps hiding in the nervous endings of the body, so you can never really, I mean, there are ways, it's difficult, but for the most part, you don't eradicate the herpes virus. It pops out, you get a little cold sore when your nerves are down, when your immune system is lower. It pops out, it multiplies itself, and then it retracts again. You stay alive. You get a little crust on your lip, that peels off, and you're good to go. That's a very old virus. It's a virus that has found throughout many generations a way to coexist with its host. It's not a symbiotic relationship, because you can live perfectly well without it. There's no symbiotic relationship there. But the virus is adapted to its host quite well because it's so old. It had the time to find its way to adapt. Now, when AIDS struck, a very young virus still didn't know how to deal with the human body, because it's not in the interest of the virus to actually kill its host. It's in the interest of the virus to keep the host alive, because by keeping the host alive, the virus has a chance of multiplying and the host spreads it to other hosts, other potential hosts. So it's completely in the interest of the virus to keep the host alive, but the virus needs to first learn, well, how is the host made? How is it built? How can I reprogram myself to utilize the host just the right amount that I need to keep multiplying and surviving, but without killing the host, because the host is necessary to me to keep living. So if a virus is very new and young, chances are it's going to be brutal because to its host, because it doesn't know anything about its host yet. Now, this is really medicine for idiots, obviously, because I self-proclaimed ignorant when it comes to this. I'm just sharing with you what my doctors tell me, okay? I'm no medical professional. Let's be very clear about this. But logically speaking, it makes sense to me. So in a way, Corona has spread all over the world by now. There's no just getting rid of it. It's not that easy. It's here to stay, okay? Now it's all about finding the way to minimize its effects as much as possible. And as far as the virus is concerned, well, the virus is trying to survive. So in its process of trying to survive, it's also trying to adapt to the host, because it's in its interest not to kill the host. But there's so many effects, and it's such a new thing, and it's very aggressive at the moment. It's going to take time for this thing to become a mild thing. And so, do we have that time? In our lifetime, we don't have that time. Our lives are not that long. You need hundreds of years of evolution to get to a point where a virus becomes the herpes simplex. And we don't got that time. So the time is now. So I don't, conversations about, oh yeah, with time, what time? Boo-boo, we got no time. It ain't getting easier for us. We got a very short amount of time to live on this planet. And you got to make the best of it. You got to protect yourself. You got to protect others, because you can't just sit there, wait for the virus to mutate and become friendly. That ain't it. That ain't going to do it. Gary says, I know someone who was very nearly hospitalized after 2 doses. He was told by his doctor he would be dead now if he hadn't been vaccinated. Yeah. Good point. Melissa Joan Hart. Yeah, that's Sabrina. Thank you, Rich Mitch. M. Nicole Sheik says, in my opinion, the pandemic has shown how incredibly ignorant and narcissistic people are. The anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers boggle the mind. COVID is real. People are dying. Louis says to Stephanie, it's very sad about your friend, his friend. That's why I'm very open of getting therapy nowadays. Sobe says, my aunt died of COVID a couple months ago. A very healthy woman that had many more years of life left. She did not get the vaccine. It breaks my heart every time I think of her. I'm so sorry, Sobe. Leslie says, I'm feeling it. I will do anything to stay out of the hospital and pay crazy healthcare bills. Thank you for addressing the vaccine. Thank you, Leslie, for listening. M. Nicole Sheik says, now the Delta variant is upon us. Our children are dying. I'm telling you, we don't have that time to just wait for something. You got to act now. So Stephanie says, I don't understand these anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers. Do they think that the whole world coordinated with each other to spread rumors of the virus? Seabree says, why aren't schools online? They are in many cases. In some countries, they are online. But Seabreeze, also there's an issue with kids. Kids have suffered psychologically a lot being locked down at home for such a long time without their friends, without developing social skills. So it's very tricky. How long can you keep a tiny child, a young child, isolated for the psyche, that's also something that hasn't been experimented before. And people are worried that if you keep a child, we're talking about tiny kids here. We're not talking about older teenagers, people with a little bit more developed psyches. But when you're a tiny, tiny kid, yeah, you can't explain to a child, hey, you can't play with your friends anymore. You can't see your friends anymore. You can't go to school anymore. You can't go out of the house anymore. Like, it's hard for a child to understand, you know? And they suffer. They suffer a lot because their whole motoric skills don't get developed. The relationship skills, like relating to other kids, they don't get developed. Like, it's difficult to, out of the blue, figure out a new system. Okay, well, if we're going to stay in lockdown for like 3 years, you're going to have a whole generation of kids that were children during those 3 years. What's going to happen to their psyche after that? It's a very important point, I think, that needs to be addressed. I mean, Audrey says, in the UK for a while now, if you have a respiratory condition, you can wear a floral lanyard around your neck to show that you are exempt from wearing a mask. Yeah, but then what if people lie about it? They just wear it because Olivo says you can always wear a face shield if you have a respiratory condition or even an anxiety attack from wearing masks. M90 DRI says N95 and FFP2 masks butcher the skin before the ears. We need before gentle masks. We need gentler masks. I agree. But you get used to it. I mean, I don't know. I really got used to it. Like, I developed little muscles here. Like, it doesn't hurt me anymore. Before, like after 1 hour, the pressure would hurt like crazy. Now, it just doesn't, because I wear them almost on a daily basis. It just doesn't hurt anymore. Jesus says, I was getting my hair cut at this, I guess, expensive place. The hairstylist was not wearing a mask, and he literally pulled mine off my face and said, do you really believe in this fake thing? I was shocked. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's not cool. Hector PV says, Dacob, what do you think of countries not letting people entering places if they're not vaccinated? I think it's completely okay. Hey, as I said, if you have the right to decide not to wear a mask, the business owner has the right to not let you in if you're not wearing a mask. You know, they're not obliged to let you in. It's not a public space, it's a private restaurant. So, Old Palm City, I believe in vaccine, but not masks. But masks don't work. The TheCCSpy says, very touched by what you said. Wish I could type more. Oh, Laura, my love. Mohart says, the moment masks appeared, I noticed several tooth straightening and whitening companies pulled a lot of their advertising. Yeah, because why spend all the money? Jesus says, he already started cutting it, so I had to stay till the end, never going there again. Weird AF. Holy Grace says, I don't agree with having to show your vaccination card to access services and go places. But that's okay, Holly, but then you also have to be fine with them saying, if you can't prove that you're vaccinated, or if you can't prove that you have a day fresh anti-COVID test done that proves that you're negative, you know, they could then say, well, then we don't let you in, and you have to be fine with that too. Susie Q asks, Old Palm City, why do you think masks don't work? Seabree says, yeah, conditions are private, Seabree, for sure. For sure. I'm not here at all assuming that anybody is crazy. I'm just trying to make people care for each other and to make people see that they're not alone in this world, that everybody is connected. That's all I'm trying to say. My CC88 says, where I live, it's mandatory to wear a mask in public places, shops, public transport, walking in areas that have other people around you like a city. If an exemption is provided, GP letter of proof. Gary says to Holy Grace, I'm considering not going to those places, even though I will have had my second shot by the time I want to go anywhere. Old Palm City says, everyone was forced to wear masks last year and hundreds of thousands still passed away. Yeah, right. But you have to understand that the people, it kind of happened a little bit late with the masks. People were already sick. People were already dying. And you guys, something that you might be not taking in consideration, that has to be taken in consideration. The media doesn't report about this, but just to put things in perspective, we're already in some countries, third, in some countries, the fourth wave of the virus. And mind you, there are still people in the hospitals, hospitalized from the first wave, that are still not out, that are still on respirators, that are still fighting for their lives. That's how serious this is. So of course, we have to take that in consideration. By the time the governments reacted and said, hey, everybody start wearing a mask, it was already too late because a lot of people already had the disease. But once you start implementing wearing the mask, slowly you start lowering the effects of having not worn it before. Now, I also want to ask you, Old Palm City, you think nobody went partying for spring break without masks, even though there was a mask mandate everywhere? People were taking them off partying, private parties. They didn't care about what they were told. People didn't travel to their families for Thanksgiving or Christmas? Yeah, they did. They all wore masks while visiting families, right? No, they didn't. So I'm telling you, there's like, one thing is saying, hey, please wear a mask. It can save lives. And another thing is answering, yeah, sure, I did. But then, oh, but actually that day I didn't. But it was fine because my friend also... Yeah, my friend is also almost never out of the house. And so we didn't wear the mask. But the other days I wore a mask, except that time when I went to that other friend, I took it off because we were just drinking tea together. And I mean, we didn't see each other for like 3 months. So we just spent a great afternoon together and like we didn't get sick from each other. So, we didn't wear a mask. That's how it begins, and you make the exceptions, and you start cheating yourself also into it. Nicole Sheik says, I have respiratory disease since the age of 2. I have a difficult time wearing a mask, but I still wear the damn mask. For me, contracting a COVID-19 could be a death sentence. Therefore, I wear it. And yeah, that's the truth. There you go. Nicole Sheik just put it. One sentence, clear to the point. So ZQ says, masks are the same for a business. No shirt, no shoes, no service. Mariam says, hate the government doesn't justify jeopardizing your own as well as public health. That's why I don't get anti-maskers, etc. Health is the most important thing. To change the government, vote. Olivo says, yep, exactly. To Suzy Q. Warrior Worm says, sick and tired of this mask debate. Masks and vaccines help prevent the spread and complications. Anyone with a brain will know that masks aren't preventative. Well, yeah, the masks do prevent it. What are you talking about? Sick and tired of this mask, but masks and vaccines do help prevent the spread of the complications. Warrior Worm says, second year of working in COVID ward now. Today we had a 39-year-old double vaccinated still get ill. But luckily, oxygen therapy was enough. Last year, you would probably be intubated. Suzy Q says, to Warrior Worm, 100%. Victoria Howard says, I think proof of immune antibodies is more important than proof of vaccine. Some of us has had the virus and have immunity naturally. I believe in vaccine for those that choose. That's a really good point too, Victoria. Jonna Oates, I just want everyone to believe in science again instead of politicians. Oh, Jonna, that is such a good point. Marina says, apparently our annual flu can be traced back to the Spanish flu. So survived, but weakened. Hope for the same for this one, but don't take that long. Victoria Howard says, natural immunity also provides protection as long as the antibodies are present. Example, chickenpox. Holly says, COVID will die off, but it's opened up a can of political worms to what the government now has the capability of. Reminder, if the free world, reminder, in the free world, the government works for us, not the other way around. Holy Grace, I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. And that's why I say these are very dangerous times we live in, not just because of this virus, but also because of what ideas some sneaky little bastards up there in the government could get. Sneaky little ideas of how to manipulate everything for their own purposes. That's what we have to be very careful of. Davina says, thank you, Dacob, for your voice. Of course, I'm humbled that you are listening to me, you guys, because obviously, as I repeat, no professional here, just a person who is very worried for his other fellow co-humans. The health of everyone, the life of everyone. That's bottom line. John Oates says, Holy Grace, not true. I know we pretend America was always free, but there have been times where in America we had mandatory vaccinations. Smallpox vaccines were mandated in many states. Davina says, yes, vaccines change a pandemic to an endemic. Susie Q says, for everyone who's against the vaccine, the smallpox vaccine in 1905 was given to American citizens as an emergency use. This isn't the first rodeo. John Oates says, like I said, we need to stop pretending the government wants to get us, and realize that this is a global pandemic and it doesn't care where we live. John Oates says, science over politics. Susie Q says, I believe the virus will not go away, but we will have to learn to live with it for a while. Yeah. Bottom line. Hey, Priyam Live. Hello, Sandy, my dear. Hi, everyone. Hello. Jesus says, the body doesn't care if the virus in the vaccine is natural or synthetic. It has the same effect. Gary says, it's the new flu. Oliver says, the best thing we can start with is to strengthen our immune system, eat well, exercise, eliminate metabolic dysfunction, etc. And then if you can, then take the vaccine. Just be safe, you guys. Don't test fate. Bottom line. Just don't listen. I know you're going to say I'm esoteric and superstitious. Don't test fate. You just don't test fate, okay? This is something my grandma, my grandpa always instilled me. They said, Dacob, you don't test fate. Don't play God. Thank you so much, Mia.
Mia donated $4.68. I choose to get vaccinated because although my immune system isn't awful, I don't know everything about my body to guarantee that. I wear a mask out of consideration, and have seen its effectiveness. Lived in Taiwan from March.
Okay, yeah, I was sorry. I had to read your comment on the side because I don't hear when Bubbles reads it. Yes, thank you so much. Ooh. Ooh. Thank you so much, Mia. So sweet of you. And I'm glad that you're safe. And listen, this is the bottom line, you guys. Don't listen to what politicians tell you. Just care for people around you. Care for yourself. Be safe and don't test fate. Personal experience, I know a few who we've lost now. From my family, closer family, not close family. They've tested their fate with this virus. And they're dead now. Sorry, I'm tearing up again. It's been hard. It's been really hard. This whole lockdown situation and being alone and people, you know, believing in all sorts of different things. Bottom line, people are dying. Bottom line, don't test fate. Be humble. Be happy that you're alive. Be happy that you have the privilege to have these conversations with us. Yes or no, what, you know, this is a privilege. We take this for granted. We shouldn't. To have the freedom to even discuss these things. And just be safe. Chunky Shoes UK says, my grandma died of COVID in February, and not being able to hug my mom at the funeral due to social distancing was horrible. My grandma caught COVID in the hospital too. She only went in with a bad leg. Karine says, I'm still wearing a mask. Some people are not yet vaccinated, and I still can be asymptomatic even if I am vaccinated. Yeah. Factor Story says, I didn't mind getting vaccinated. I got COVID in March and I got vaccinated last month, but I'm just against the pass sanitaire, which discriminates people who didn't get access to vaccine yet. Pam says, I'm sorry. Old Palm City says, my mom died from COVID in Russia last year before the vaccine was available. Oh, I'm so sorry. Holy Grace says, Dacob, you're very intelligent with a good range of perspective. Thank you, Holly. You are too. Oh my God, thank you so much, ND 2020, for the super chat. Thank you.
Super chat from ND 2020. To all the people that don't believe I getting vaccinated, should think of the millions of children that don't have a choice.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ND 2020. Thank you. The confetti are so bittersweet in this for this topic, huh? Just Yopping says, so sorry, Dacob. Life is a gift. It really is. Sending you a big virtual hug, says Chunky Shoes UK. Thank you so much. Karin sends a hug. Thank you. Thank you. Victoria says, love you. Thank you. Love you too. Susie Q says, my daughter is a social worker in an ER and has seen awful things over the last year. Yeah. No, I'm okay, Audrey. I'm okay. Cody says, vaccine mandates are completely legal. Jacobson versus Massachusetts declared by the Supreme Court the legality of vaccine mandates. Public health takes precedent over all. Chiki says, all right, where's Chiki? Oh, Chiki. A lot of people have no belief in politics, and that's why they also disbelieve in COVID or vaccine. I know, and we have to separate politics from science. Please, please separate politics from science. Don't mix the two. Black Noise says, from the healthcare workers in the bunker, we are exhausted. Don't be so selfish. It's not just you. Your choice affects. Stephanie says, I will still wear a mask even after I finish my vaccinations. I also believe that the time to handle unvaccinated people, unvaccinated by choice, but have access, with kids' gloves is over. Stephanie says, I agree with how Singapore is handling people who refuse to wear a mask. Sending lots of warm hugs to you, Dacob. Thank you, Audrey. Yeah, I see Olivo says, very much. And ND 2020, I have a little kiddo and I worry about him every day. No vaccine yet for him as a toddler. Jenny sends hearts. Thank you, Jenny. Holy Grace says, life is a gift. I think this every day. Dacob, hope you're okay. Your face is down. We are here for you. I'm okay, guys. You bring me so much joy, and it strengthens me to talk to you, because when I talk to you, it alleviates the pain, and it it puts things in perspective, you know? It makes things bearable. Why? Because I keep repeating myself. We are social creatures. We only function when we are together, when we unite. It's that isolation. It's that thinking that everything is just about you and nobody else. That's what kills us. That is going to be our ultimate undoing. Only when we unite are we strong, and we are united here. Yes, we have slightly diverging opinions, but bottom line, none of us disagrees on that one point, that life is precious and that we respect life. And I would hope that all of us also agree on the fact that we should not be testing fate, but respecting it. Chiki says, in the end, we are all in this together. We really are. We really are. Stephanie says, we are all supporting each other in the fashion bunker. Yes. Rara says, oh, the bunker is a lovely place. Fatima says, I saw two builders in New York the other day laughing about not getting vaccinated. I was so disgusted. He even spat out and had no masks on. It breaks my heart. Oh dear. M. Nicole Sheik says, there are two options. One, wear a mask and get vaccinated. Protect yourself, your family, friends, and strangers. Two, be a narcissist and put your life, your family, friends, and strangers' lives at risk. Victoria says, we absolutely have to unite. I mean, that's the bottom line, you guys. We got to care for each other. That's all. That's what it is. It's about caring for each other. And that's the bottom line. And it's so simple, you guys. It's so simple. You know, politicians are going to come for you and they're going to try to brainwash you and to make you believe concoctions of the left, the right, center, this and that. But it's not complicated at all. It's very, very simple. Love is very simple. Care is very simple. Empathy is very simple. Love, care, empathy, they do not know or understand the language of politics. Politics does not speak the language of love, empathy, and care. Bottom line. Okay? So, we should take politics out of this and strip it to the bare minimum, which is empathy, care, love, solidarity. That's all it is. It's just about caring for others. It's not about you standing in some shop, ripping your mask off, spitting at everybody, like being a Karen, as we've seen so many videos on Twitter about it. What does that prove? How does that help humanity? Seeing some vile person spitting on everybody in a store because they don't want to wear a mask. Like, how is that love? How is that empathy? How is that solidarity? How is that care? And I'm saying this because we're seeing more and more of these cases popping up. This is not just something, an isolated incident that happened somewhere in Oompa Loompa land. It's happening more and more. You know, like that, you know, politicians don't care like that. What's the name of that chick? Miss Green. That politician traveling around the US telling vulnerable people that masks don't work. To prove her point, to become more popular, to get more people to talk about her, because that's her bottom line. My bottom line is to survive and to see all of you wonderful, beautiful people in this chat that are talking to me now. I want to see each and every one of you next year in the chat. I want to talk to each and every one of you next year in the chat. That's my bottom line. I want to see you live. I want to see you thrive. I want to see you be successful. I want to see you become incredible, wonderful lights that you already are. I just want you to shine more and more and more. I want to see you live. But what does she want? Well, what she wants is to get elected. What she wants is to be talked about. What she wants, no matter how disgusting and vile it is that she says, that doesn't matter. You could say the most disgusting things. Bottom line is, as long as people keep talking about you, You're popular. So her bottom line is being popular. For all the wrong reasons, doesn't matter. Popular. Because in this day and age of our consumerism and consumer society, it's all about talking. So that's her bottom line. Also very simple, very transparent, very easy to see through. May says, I get made fun of for wearing a mask when I go in town. I live in a small town in South Texas. It's frustrating. They also mocked me for having my daughter do online school all year. May, don't let that get to you. You do you. Be safe. Olivo says, wait, who is this person? I'm so backwards politically. Cody can help us. What's her name? Cody knows all their names. Green something. She has a name with 3 parts. Something green. Blonde lady. Bleached. Might I add. Nothing again. I've been bleached half my life, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, says Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah. Cheeky says, politics is just money and power. For the most part. Rara says, do not evoke her. No, but yeah, I'm evoking her for the right reasons, because I'm telling you, that's a troll. Politically speaking, if you compare her to social media trolls, like the trolls we get on social media, she's the troll you get in politics. It's the same. It's like you take a troll from social media and you implement a troll in politics. That's what you get. You get Marjorie Taylor Greene. Bottom line. Okay. Because a troll wants attention. A troll wants you to bring you to react, because then they gain traction and popularity. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. Social media troll transplanted, let's say from YouTube, Twitter into politics. That's what you get. 1-to-1. It's a blueprint of a troll. John Oates says, I'm in Texas and it's super conservative and COVID is running rampant. And our governor is blaming black people with no factual data to back it up. Jonna, I have actually seen those statistics just the other day. Terrifying, because they're using the wrong statistics. Because the black population is much lower in Texas than the white population. So, but in the ratio of black people that got vaccinated per populace of black population, the black community has a much higher percentage of vaccination as opposed to the white community, where there's a lower percentage. But what he did in his calculation was he took just numbers of people and then added race to it. It's a slippery slope. It's a very tricky thing he did, and it's very wrong, the numbers. I know, Jonna, I know. Yeah, Apple's 107, true, one stunt after another. Olivo says, oh Lord, just looked her up. Immediately had to close the tab. Yeah, Olivo, good. Yeah, Cody. That's a really good point. I've been asking myself that as well. Cody says, what happened to both sides at least caring about the greater good? That's gone. There's just me. That's all there is. That's all that's left. And this is, if you look at Vivienne Westwood, when she talks about capitalism, she very clearly defines, she doesn't just invent these things. She reads a lot of books and she quotes all the books she talks about. And she says, you guys, we are at a point of, we're reaching the end of capitalism as we know it. And this is what happens. You get to this extreme egocentrism, this extreme egotistical behavior, which becomes maniacal. And it goes to a point where everything becomes legitimate. Behaving the way that this lady, Green, behaves, how can she even be allowed to work in a government institute? How? You should look up how she behaves towards her colleagues, towards other people. it's at a level where you're like, okay, this isn't human anymore. I mean, it's just, it's embarrassing. Anyway, Holy Grace says Australia is not as divided politically as the USA. We just think all politicians are flogs. LOL. Oh, good. Frozen Luxury says my mask matches my Birkin.
Yes.
Yeah, Rara says, yeah, they both play on emotions. Sorry, let me just find your comment. It was just, they both play on emotion the most. Whichever they feel pulls their base. Exactly. That's basically where it's at. Jesus says, to quote Wendy Williams, life could be worse. Wait, this is the worst. Cody says, we ended the polio outbreak in the mid 1900s because everyone banded together and got the vaccine. And it's interesting that Wendy said that this is life. It is the worst it can get. You know, it's interesting how within the, in particular, I like to analyze religion. I'm not going to go into belief. So you believe whatever you want to believe. I love you anyway. Just don't make me believe in something. You know what I mean? Everybody believe what you want to believe. But very fascinating in the religious aspect of things. In Judaism, in the Kabbalah, you know, they do believe that there is no hell or heaven after death. You know, like the Catholics want you to believe, you know, you best behave good, otherwise you're going to end up in hell. They say, actually, and this is a beautiful thing about Judaism, I think, that they say, you know, it can only get better. Now is the worst. This is hell. Bottom line. And there's hope because it can only get better from here. I find that sentiment so beautiful. I think that is so beautiful and such a complicated thought because it encompasses understanding good and evil on the same plane. You know, because within Catholicism, you learn that there's always that other tomorrow that you have to fear. If you don't do what, in that case, the church tells you to do, you're going to end up in that tomorrow that is terrifying. But within that Kabbalistic approach, it's more like, no, you're already in hell, boo-boo. But it gets better. Tomorrow is always better because you grow, you learn, you evolve, you mature, you become wiser. And that's why, you know, Jews are so intelligent. They love to learn. They love to learn. And it's so beautiful. I think that is amazing. And I have adapted that sentiment. I try to adapt that sentiment to me as well. It's not easy. It's very, very hard to envision a tomorrow that's better than today. Because, you know, I also have a tendency to often sit there and be like, woe is me, woe is me. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. But if you stop for a second and you say, no, now is the worst it can get. Tomorrow is going to get better. And when you rewire your thinking into the positive, then you have hope. Oh, hey,
Andrea
hey, Miss
Myers
Myers,
donated
how you
$10.
doing, sweetie? Thank you so much for the for the donation. Ooh. Thank you so much. Thank you. So yeah, I love that approach. You know. Yeah, Holy Grace says, lol, this is hell. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. And the power that you give yourself by acknowledging that this is the worst it gets is so empowering in itself because it makes you believe that you can change something. It makes you believe that you have the strength to make something better of yourself and for others. So it's a wonderful way of thinking, honestly. Sobe says, I agree, Dacob, with the belief. We are in hell. Let's hope it does get better. And that's the thing, like, it can. Of course, when you say, well, today is the worst, but tomorrow, of course, tomorrow, when tomorrow comes, you're still going to say, well, today's the worst, but it's still better than yesterday. It's a progression. It's evolution. It's growing. Things get better. You know? And my CC88 says, I'm sorry for your loss, Dacob. Thank you so much. Thank you. Suzy Q says, Abbott and DeSantis are causing such problems in their states. And again, fame, fortune, fame, more that's bottom line. Letty says, human ego is the disease that will eventually consume humanity and our planet. Life will go on, but it's heartbreaking that we're wasting the possibility of greatness of our species. That is also true. Nicole says, I am Catholic. I believe in heaven and hell after death, but there's definitely a hell while you are alive. We are living it right now. I pray each day it will get better. May says, confirmation bias is a powerful and deceitful thing. Oh, that's a good one, Seabreeze. Darkest before dawn. Yeah. Well, you guys, I love that. Let's end it on that note. Darkest before dawn. This video has been an impromptu conversation fundamentally on, I know for a lot of people who are maybe watching this video are going to think, what the heck just happened? Well, it's a conversation about love, respect, empathy, bottom line, and care. How much do you care about others and yourself, truly? That's how you should make your choices. And don't test fate. Thumb up this video, subscribe to my channel, and share the love and never give up on love. Until next time, take care. Love you. Bye. Mwah.